on, girl, let's scream.
I am a god.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel. This is the part where you run.
Come on, scream.
Ho, 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 and welcome to Let's Scream, a podcast where we dive into our favorite horror movies. I'm Stevie.
And I'm Parker. Today we are looking at 1974's Black Christmas, directed by Bob Clark. Join us as we journey to Pi Kappa Sig and learn all about the Moaner. Are you ready to scream?
Come on, girl. Let's scream.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get into Black Christmas. And we're talking about the 1974 original.
The OG.
There have been two remakes. One that came out in like 2003, 6, 7?
Sure.
And then one in 2019.
I'm not really a remake girl. I know we did the remake of The Ring, but for the most part, I like the OG.
Okay, the one was in 2006 and then 2019. I was looking at the 2019's like Wikipedia page and I was like, it's like a girl power film. I was kind of like,
the poster of that one looks like Pitch Perfect.
So let's get into Black Christmas because we want to do this one in honor of the holidays coming up.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
This movie is one of the OG slashers. I think it's actually like this along with Texas Chainsaw, which came out the very same year and we reviewed last week, are both credited with igniting the slasher genre as a whole.
Yeah, and this film had a lot of inspiration for, like it inspired films like Halloween.
It's basically like the proto-Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they're almost the same movie, kind of. Like
they really are. Yeah. Like this one just takes place on Christmas, and Halloween takes place on Halloween. But the vibes are very similar
vibes. A lot of that, like first-person POV, like shot of the killer, like stalking the victim.
Yeah, and then just random people and like really no motive.
Yeah, no motive, which is so scary. My like opinion of this movie is I hadn't watched it until this year. I watched it for the first time. And, okay, I'm a pretty big horror fan, obviously. That's why we started this podcast. And it takes a while, or it takes, like, a lot for something to get to me, to scare me, and to be effective at this point. Yeah, you're a little bit more, like, easy to...
I get scared very easily. I don't like gore. It just makes me very squeamish, and it makes me, like, I don't know. I kind of, like, imagine it happening to me too much, and I kind of desensitize myself. Some stuff I can handle. Like, I can handle mild gore, but it's, like, why I don't like the Saw series is because it's just too gory, too much screaming.
I like the gore parts in Saw. Those are the only parts I like. I think the story in the Saw series, not my favorite, but we should still review a Saw movie, I think.
Maybe.
The first two are not very gory.
Yeah, I know. I've seen parts of the second one. I can't do it. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
That scene with the needles in that movie freaks me out.
I got very uncomfortable. That was the scene I saw, and it made me very uncomfortable.
But yeah, so it takes a lot for me to get scared. I'm a little desensitized to scary movies, and this movie, I think I had just put the Christmas decorations up. And I was alone in my apartment. I was like, okay, let me just put on Black Christmas because it's almost Christmas season and I had never seen it before. But the atmosphere in this movie is so creepy and I was so scared. Yeah. It's such a simple premise and it's not like super gory or anything.
No.
But it is so effectively creepy to me.
Yes. I agree.
That's why I fell in love with it. I think there's definitely some, pacing issues.
That was my biggest problem with the film. Because the film, I feel like Texas Chainsaw, which we just did last week, so I feel like I'm going to compare it a lot to that just because I'm, fresh off of that film, was, a little over 80 minutes. This film was,
Texas Chainsaw is paced flawlessly,
This film, it's 98 minutes, and it for me, watching
there's a point where it drags for me.
It started to drag a little bit, and I was just kind of okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that part when it drags.
I feel like there could have been cleaned up a little bit.
For sure. But we'll get there. I think for the most part, it's a great movie. I think it's very effectively scary. I completely understand why it inspired a whole genre of movies.
Yeah.
And I also think, before we get into the plot, I think it's really progressive and it's in its themes and its messages. There's a character who, and this was literally the same year or maybe a year after Roe v. Wade, but there's a character who is pregnant and like contemplating getting an abortion. She wants to get an abortion. And it was like, for the time, very, I think, progressive to have like your main character deal with these kind of things and have her be a woman who really has a lot of agency. And that's the biggest theme of this movie, I think, is the misogynistic nature of our society. I think it's really a movie about the plight of young women. They're living in a world where they're either getting harassed or getting ignored by all the men around them. Yeah. That's like the biggest ongoing thing here.
Absolutely.
But yeah, at this point, we're going to go ahead and hop into Black Christmas, the OG. If you have not seen it, go ahead and watch it. I think it's great. Especially
it holds up.
For a Christmas horror movie, it's one of the better ones I've seen, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So let's jump into it. Make sure, if you're going to watch the movie, maybe make sure all your doors are locked. And like maybe you have some lo-fi playing in the background or something, because it might scare you, because it really scared me. I was creeped
one didn't
out.
really get to me. It didn't really. I'm like very proud of myself. It did not get to me.
That's good. I was like, I couldn't sleep that night, the first night I watched it. And again, that's rare for a scary movie to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Well, anyway, so we'll go ahead and get into the plot. So we open on this exterior shot of our sorority house, Pi Kappa Sigma, and we hear a choir singing Silent Night. It's not the like yassified Mariah Carey version of Silent Night.
And it's not even like it's not like the regular verse. It's like I think it's like the second or third like weird Christmas version of like when you get to the third Christmas verse that nobody knows.
Yeah.
Because I was like looking at the like subtitles and I was like, what the fuck are they saying right now? I was like, these are not the lyrics to this song.
Yeah, I was confused too. I was like, where's the Mariah part?
But maybe that was the thing, is they wanted to use one of the like darker.
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna say, is this version of Silent Night is spooky. Like it's like a chamber choir version, and immediately it kind of puts you into that like, oh, I'm spooked kind of headspace.
Yeah.
And we are getting this POV shot of the exterior of the house. We see that there is a Christmas party going on inside the house from the windows. And that's where the music... So all the music in this movie, there's like not really a score. It's all like... Anytime that there's like that version of Silent Night or like the other Christmas songs that are playing...
It's just the music they're listening to.
It's the music they're listening to. It's like diegetic or whatever that is. I can't remember I don't know if it's non-diegetic or diegetic. I'll have to look that up. But like it's whatever the one that means the music that the characters are listening to, not like the score of the movie. And I think that's
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Exactly, like Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Good movie.
And the whole like time, this whole first scene, the wind is like whistling.
Well, we also get from the POV, it's like a person.
Yeah.
We also get them breathing. And
Yeah, we get that
my first
mouth
note was,
breathing.
okay, asthma. Like, calm down a little bit.
Yeah, where's your inhaler? He is... It is, yeah. But it spooked
Calm down
me.
a little bit.
It spooks me. Like, yeah, so our this is our killer. We're watching from his point of view, which this very much inspired Halloween. Like,
yes.
Half of that whole movie is the like POV shot, like almost like the killer as if he is wearing a GoPro on his head.
Yes.
That's very the vibe.
Yes.
And we watch as he kind of looks in at all the people in the party, and then he starts looking for a way into the house, and then he starts climbing the scaffolding like on the side of the house.
Yeah.
And then he climbs into the attic window. We continue to watch as he goes through the attic and climbs down the ladder into the second floor. And no one downstairs at the party notices. Not even our slay queen, Miss Barb.
I love
she's
her.
the one that's got a choker, big thick choker.
Yes.
And she has bangs.
She has bangs. She likes to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, she's like our hardcore chick.
She's like she's like the baddie one that you just fall in love with. You're like, "Ah,
She's the personality for sure.
But kind of a bimbo a little bit.
Yeah, she's a vibe. She's definitely the girl who we would gravitate towards too. Like if we were at this Christmas party. But she's definitely tipsy. Mm-hmm. Barb, we established very earlier, she is the lush of the sorority. One of the girls, Claire, who's like, I think she's the youngest. She's maybe the freshman of the sorority.
Freshman or a sophomore.
Yeah.
But she's younger.
She's young. She's very innocent, virginal, like the traditional final girl type.
Yeah.
And she kisses her boyfriend. I can't remember his name. I wrote it down later, but they have this like little conversation before he leaves that I think he's going to come and meet her family for the first time, but the family doesn't know that she has a boyfriend. So she's going to kind of like spring it on them. And so she's kind of gearing up for that. But yeah, he leaves. And then this is when Barb comes into the kitchen and she's asking if any of the girls want to go skiing with her. And we're introduced to our other sorority main girlies. We get our actual main character, Jess, who has a Celine Dion French-Canadian accent. And she has long dark hair and she's always wearing yellow. Like every outfit
every
she's
time
in.
she picks up the phone, she yells.
Does she really?
Every time in this movie, the very first scene, she's like, "Pardon? Who?" And I'm like, "Girl, why
I
are
didn't
you yelling?"
notice that. I'll have to look
And
at
then every time she picks it up, almost every time, the next few times, she says hello 3 times. Hello, hello, hello. And like it's always different and louder. And I'm like, "Girl, please." Stop.
I didn't know.
I think I was so focused on that I just was like, I hate her. I don't like her.
You just didn't like the way she answered the phone, and
Yeah,
so you were like,
I was like, I don't like her.
you're like, fuck this bitch.
Yeah, I was not into her. I want Barb to be my final girl. Barb is my
We
final
do love Barb.
And she doesn't even come close.
Barb
Spoiler.
is. Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, and we also meet, what's her name? Phil, I think, which is short for Phyllis. And I said she looks like a de-ossified version of Cher with glasses.
And a little afro.
Yeah. Kind of like if Cher and Velma from Scooby-Doo had a baby.
And that baby had an afro.
Exactly. That's Phil. And she's like a nice friend. She's like the good, like, she's the girl you would like, if you were drunk, she would like hold your hair back.
You would trust her with your life.
Yeah, exactly.
She's gonna get shit done. But
Yeah.
she's gonna do it the right way. You know?
Yeah, she's cool. We like Phil. And this is when the phone rings. And Jess answers. I guess she answers like, hello! Like really loud.
She goes, hello! Hello!
She screams.
Hello!
And then she announces to the group that it's the Moaner.
Or as she said, the Mona.
The Mona.
And then I kind of love this scene a little bit. Like, it's gross a bit.
I love it.
Because, like, the director said during the scene, okay, serve cunt. Because every single one of them is giving, like, a pose, but, like, some of them are, like, trying to act shocked, so they have, like, their mouth covered with, like, their hands. But then Barb is there, or not, yeah, Barb's there smoking a cigarette during it.
Barb is very that girl.
I loved this scene.
Yeah, I love this scene too. We get this vibe that this guy has called before. She says, it's the Moaner again. Yeah. And they all gather around, they start listening. And he's slurping, gagging, gooning.
He was the original gooner.
He was the OG gooner. And then he says, let me lick your pretty pink cunt. And he sounds like, what's the snail bitch from Monsters, Inc.? Is it Roz?
Ross?
It's giving Roz.
The hilarious Ross Matthews.
The hilarious Roz Matthews. But he's talking like this. It kind of sounds like Wazowski, turn in your paperwork. Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, so he's being so creepy and making them all uncomfortable. Barb, she's winning the I don't give a fuck war because she gets on the phone with him and she bitches his ass out. She's like, gives it to him.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, she's like, go. She's like, who do you think you are? Kind of, mister.
I'm Barb. I'm smoking a cigarette. I'm the oldest in this damn sorority. I run this sorority like a fucking Navy ship.
She's the badass of the group. He goes, I'm gonna kill you. And then click, the line like goes out. And that, when I was watching this first time, I went, oh bitch. Oh bitch. That one got me like, oh bitch. That was scary. The kind of switch up.
And he didn't lie. Spoiler!
He's a man of his word. He's a man of his word.
So y'all might have... Yeah. So the girls that are there that like dip out the next day, smartest ones in the whole thing.
Good for them. And Claire tried to do that. Okay, so first of all, Barb says some wild shit about SA to Claire. Like, I don't know if you remember the line. We can't say it on this pod.
Oh God, don't.
She says some wild shit. She says you can't SA a townie. I don't know why I don't know what... Barb is wild.
And drunk.
She's chaotic. Yeah, she's definitely drunk. And we get this vibe that they all kind of, like, make fun of Claire because she comes from, like, a conservative family. She's, like, the very, like, goody two-shoes girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Claire's like, what's the matter with you, Barb? And Barb says, this is a sorority house, not a convent. But Jess comforts Claire before she goes. And we kind of... And she kind of casts shade to Barb and is like, you need to clean your act up, basically.
Yeah.
And we kind of get that dynamic. Like, she's more of the mother hen of the house. And Barb, even though I think Barb might be, like, the president of this sorority, I kind of get that vibe from her. I think she's, like, really irresponsible. Like,
yeah.
And you can tell she doesn't give a shit about her sorority sisters.
Yeah.
She's just there to party.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which, like... we stand.
I love it. It's like, what else are you there to do?
Good for Barb.
Get an education, please.
And yeah, so Claire decides she's going to go upstairs and get ready. And this is when our icon appears.
Oh. The best character.
You know who I'm talking about.
Mrs.
Mac. Mrs. Mac is this...
Mary Mac. I don't
Miss
think
Mary...
right.
You know what? She does look like a Mary. I think she is a Mary.
She's literally just... You know what? Her actress name's Marion.
No. So that works.
So yeah, I'm going to say she's Miss Mary Mac.
Miss Mary Mac appears. She is their house mother, has a long cigarette, and she's ready to get the real party started. She has presents for the girls, and she's a bad bitch.
She is, like...
She's a good time.
The mother of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, back then, that was, like, a thing.
Mm-hmm. House mother.
House mother. I don't think that's a thing, really, anymore.
It was in that movie House Bunny with Anna Faris. She was their house mother.
Maybe it's still a thing.
Yeah. And it's like it's always like an older woman, not like college age. Like she's like this middle-aged woman.
Well, yeah, it's usually somebody who's just there to, like, honestly, I think, like, do the cooking and make sure that everyone's, like, safe.
Yeah. She's like their house mother. And
I think if it's on a college campus, usually that's a thing.
Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't in Greek life. That shit
either.
Stressed me out, to be honest.
Did you rush?
No. Hell no.
I knew people who did, and I was like, why?
Not my cup of tea.
Not mine either.
Sorry to any of the pod listeners who are in a Greek life, but
like, you paid for friends.
But, I mean, where's the lie? Upstairs, however, Claire... Our young virginal girl is getting ready for her trip to go home.
And there's a kitty cat.
There's a cat named Claude, little white cat. And she goes into her closet and she grabs some clothes and she turns around. And the camera zooms in to the closet behind her. And we see behind one of the plastic bags hanging in the closet, the killer's face. And it's like, just kind of barely, like, you can barely make it out.
Scary.
But it's so scary. I was like, ah! And Claire kind of, she doesn't hear him, but she can just sense that someone's in the room with her. And this is, like, a real phenomenon. Like, people can tell that it's like
it's a sense.
It's a sense. It's a human part of human nature.
Yeah.
That when someone's watching you, you can tell. And she thinks it's the cat that just was in the room with her. And she's like, Claude, is that you? And she goes in, and the killer jumps out and he strangles her with that plastic bag.
He like suffocates her.
And he suffocates her. And
R.I.P. Claire.
R.I.P. Claire. And you never see his face.
Once.
Not once in this movie. And that scares the shit out of me.
He's
always either like in the shadows, or we see like him silhouetted.
A peek of him.
Yeah, we see like his eye at one point, like just like his one eyeball like lurking, and it's so scary. I'm like, ew, something about that.
That shot is very fucking weird. Yeah. We'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get there. But downstairs at that same moment, everyone's distracted because Miss Mac...
Party's here!
Yeah, the party is here.
And they give her this ugly moo-moo.
Yeah, like this granny negligee.
Like, put it on, and I was honestly like screaming, yes, take it off, Mrs. Mac, take it off.
Take it off. She's such a character. She's like, I've got as much use for this as a chastity belt. And she kind of reminds me of Mae West a little bit.
She's so funny.
She's like,
she's just bitching. She always has a line. She's always drinking.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Barb in 30 years.
Yeah, she is very Barb in 30 years. We'll get into her drinking antics. But back upstairs, we see that the killer has retreated into the attic. Miss Mac goes into the study room, and she reveals she picks out a book in the bookshelf, and she pulls it out.
Yes, and there's the alcohol. She's like, B for booze.
Yeah, B for booze.
She finds the encyclopedia that's like a
She's
B.
Back in her, I'm assuming back in her olden days of being in the sorority, she cut the pages out of this book to the shape of this alcohol bottle so she could hide it in there. Which, did you ever do that in school? I know kids that
No.
Okay, so...
I didn't know that was an actual thing people did. I was thinking it was a cartoon thing.
No. I remember there was this one kid who sat by me in study hall but it's because you couldn't have your phone in study hall. So he cut the pages out of a book so that he could fit his phone in the book.
That's okay. You know what?
He was committed.
That's
creative.
That's pretty smart.
The creativity on display.
That's pretty smart.
Was astonishing.
That's pretty smart. I'll give it to him. Okay.
So we kind of get these scenes randomly of Miss Mac, she's hiding booze all throughout the house. There's at one point where she's
oh, it's in the toilet?
Yeah, she lifts up the lid of the toilet, that little compartment of the toilet. Yeah. And she had it hidden on a string she could pell out.
It was amazing.
Then the phone starts ringing again. Is it the moaner again? No,
it's just Peter.
It's Peter, Jess's boyfriend. And who we'll get into more about. He comes up later for sure. Yeah. But during this scene, all we know is that Jess really needs to talk to him face to face. Yeah. And they decide to meet up the next day. Yeah. Then we get that scene of Miss Mac stashing the booze in the toilet. And this is a Let's Scream First. We get our first ever of our podcast, first ever fake out medicine cabinet scare. I talked about it on the Ring episode that there was the refrigerator door scare as always a fake out.
So is it when she closed the medicine cabinet?
Yes, in scary movies, it's always a cliche. You're gonna close the medicine cabinet and someone's gonna be in the mirror right behind you that wasn't standing there before. Yeah. But this movie subverts that. She closes the medicine cabinet and there's no one behind her.
We would have seen his face.
Yeah.
And also, I think I was so preoccupied with watching her drink the alcohol off the toilet and just laughing my ass off and didn't even realize that.
She's great.
She's
a kooky character. I love Miss Mac. And this is when Jess goes to check on Claire and can't find her. She's not in her room.
No, the door's closed.
Oh, it's locked.
And so she just kind of assumes.
She's like, oh, whatever.
But okay, she must be asleep, or she must have left.
Maybe she left already. But we see where Claire actually is.
And she is in the attic.
Her corpse is in a rocking chair up in the attic window.
With that bag still on
and that bag is still tied around her. And our killer is rocking her off screen. And he's singing a little song to her. I don't know. It was like some weird... I don't even know what the fuck it was. But he's creepy. I hate this killer. This might be the scariest... To me, the scariest killer, like, that I've seen in a horror movie in a long time. Like, something about the moaner freaks me out, dude.
Well, because we never see his face.
Yeah. Again, like, something about that. I think they tried to do... Because, yeah, they rebooted this movie twice. They did this with Halloween as well. So in the remake of Black Christmas, or at least in one of them, they tried to give the killer, the moaner, like a backstory.
It's really weird. The 2006 one is kind of unhinged in the plot because it goes.
I watched weird. like a YouTube video, like just like best moments of that, and I was like, this is dumb. Like, why would you give? That's the whole appeal of this killer, is that we know we don't even know what this motherfucker looks like.
Yeah.
We just see it from his point of view. So, and they did this to Michael Myers in like the Rob Zombie remake, I think.
Yeah.
Where they tried to give him some traumatic, like childhood trauma to deal with. Girl, I don't give a shit about any of that. Like, just make him mysterious.
Sometimes the less I know, the better.
The better. Absolutely.
I don't need to think about it too much. I don't want to think about it too
much.
It's a horror movie.
And it's effective because the whole movie, you're like, what the fuck is this guy's problem? Yeah, and it could be anybody. I don't know. Girl, but anyway, the next day, we meet Claire's dad. Is it Mr. Harrison? Mr. Harris?
Yes, Mr. Harrison.
We meet Mr. Harrison, Claire's dad. He is waiting for her outside of church. And he gets hit in the face with a snowball by some shit little kids.
Some shitty little kids, like, out of nowhere. And you just
knock his glasses off. I know, they're like, sorry, mister.
It's like, no, you're not. You did that. Don't say sorry. You did that. What are you apologizing for?
Fucking kids. Fuck them kids, I swear to God.
I hate kids.
So he's talking to this mullet hair guy who redirects him back to the sorority house. He's like, oh yeah, I know Claire. She's in this particular sorority. And so, and the Greek life girlies are currently doing a Christmas charity event.
Yes, and one of their friends is dressed up as Santa. And in this entire scene, he says, in front of children, God damn it, bitch, shit, and fuck.
Yeah, he goes, ho, 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 fuck. And Barb's in the background. She's like, isn't Santa naughty, kids?
And the little kids are like, yeah. It's a fun little scene.
Yeah. Like, unhinged, like, but believable. Like, yeah. I feel like shitty college, like, teens are like this, for sure. Yeah. So, meanwhile, back at our sorority house, Mr. Harrison is talking to Miss Mac, trying to figure out where Claire is. And again, like, he's a very conservative guy, and he's like shook by this one picture, and it's this series of photos of this old lady realizing that she's being, like, someone's taking her picture, and the last frame is her flipping off the camera, which I love. There's this old, like, yeah, it's like a hippie photo.
It's a peace sign.
Peace sign.
To make the peace sign, it's a man on top of a woman.
Yeah.
In a sexual position.
And his, like, butt's out, right? Yes. And Miss Mac is, like, talking to him, and she notices that there's a butt in this picture, and she knows that, like, this guy is not gonna, like,
so she, like
that.
So she puts her hand up and is covering it the entire time.
She's pretending to, like, lean him against the wall, but she's just covering this picture of this butt. Well, like, this whole scene, that's what she's doing.
He's, like, trying to find out where Claire's at, and
yeah.
She's like...
And he sees a picture of Claire's, like, boyfriend that he hadn't met yet. He didn't even know she was dating, because that was going to be a surprise, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's like, who is this? And she says, Claire has a boyfriend. And he says, well, I didn't send my daughter here to be drinking and hanging out with boys. And it reminded me of Mommy Dearest when she says,
I should have known.
You'd know where to find the booze and the boys.
Can we review that movie?
That movie is horrifying. Yes, we should do Mommy Dearest. You know what?
We have to do.
Let us know.
Baby Jane also.
Oh yeah, Baby Jane.
Yeah,
we have to do those. Yeah. Let us know if you want to see Mommy Dearest and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Nobody gets murdered in Mommy Dearest, but it really feels like it.
It's scary. There's some good horror. There's some good, tense, horrific scenes in that movie for sure. It is also so camp, but
it's amazing.
It does have some scary moments. She's crazy in that. And then Miss Mac, she's in the bathroom and she's like mocking him, and she goes, "Tough shit. Think I have to be responsible for every girl in this goddamn house. These girls would hump the Leaning Tower of Pizza if they could get up there."
She's just bitching her ass off.
And drinking some more, like taking another swig of her like stash.
Oh, it's amazing.
And then she thinks she hears Claude the cat, but I think it's the moaner like making meowing sounds.
Yeah.
And she goes, "God damn it, Claude, you little prick." And right as she says that, Mr. Harrison like walks into the room.
Yeah.
She's not making like a great impression with this guy.
Yep. He does not like her, which I just don't get.
How could you not like
I just don't agree.
Miss
She's
Mac.
amazing. She's amazing.
Miss Mary Mac? That's her rap name, Miss Mary Mac. And welcome to the stage, Miss Mary Mac. And yeah, they're going to drive to the like frat house where that charity event is going on, because she's like, okay, well maybe Claire's at that.
Yeah.
And neither of them notice as they leave that her corpse is still very much like in the window of the attic. Like if they just looked up to the attic, they could see her. But no one even thinks to check the attic this whole movie.
Yeah.
And this is when we see the scene of Jess with her boyfriend, Peter. He's like a pianist and he's practicing for a recital that's like apparently important.
He's like in a conservatory.
Yeah, he's in a conservatory. He's a great piano player. And he, this is when she tells him that she is pregnant. And he's ecstatic at first. But then she says, "I'm not planning to keep the baby." And he gets pissed. He tells her that she's being selfish. I think he's being selfish.
Oh, absolutely.
We kind of get this vibe of him. I think he's a narcissist. I don't like Pete. I don't like his little turtleneck.
He gives me weird vibes.
I don't like his
hair.
Yeah, I don't like his...
I don't like how tall he is. I don't like that he looks like he's in his 30s. He's in a conservatory at college. What are you doing?
Yeah, I definitely don't like his Greg Brady haircut.
I don't like him.
Yeah, he has a recital that day, and he's like, "No, you've ruined my whole day, Jess." And he's just whining.
And she's like...
He's just a little bitch.
And then she goes and cleans out. She's like, whatever.
Oh, she's great. That's why I love Jess.
She's
like, fuck you then. And at the frat house... Mr. Harrison is witnessing Barb literally give booze to a little kid. Barb truly is winning the I don't give a fuck
She's
for.
like, who cares?
Yeah.
They're gonna drink it one day.
Right.
Why not today?
And then we get back. Jess gets back to the sorority house. She gets a call. And
once again. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Okay, maybe she does do that. You're right. She does. Maybe that is something she does. I'm kind of remembering. She does kind of go, "Hello, hello."
3 times.
Yeah. And this is the moaner. And he goes, it's that Roz voice again. And he goes, "Billy, where did you put the baby?" And she's like, "Who is this?" And he just keeps being weird. And so she hangs up.
Yeah.
And this is when we see Mr. Harrison go along with Phil and Barb, and they go to the police station to report Claire's disappearance. Yes. And the officer working the front is just... This guy's just the worst.
Yeah.
He literally tells Barb to just shut up.
Which, first of all,
He's
Barb.
literally Charlie Heights. Could you just shut up a second?
Really, girl?
So you got it, girl. Ass off. Could you shut up a second?
And then this one, Barb, her response is, okay, whatever. And she turns around and pops open a can of beer right in the middle of the police station. Yeah. And even Phil is like, girl, really? Like, read the room.
She is winning the I don't give a fuck award.
Yeah, that's
like, what are you gonna do?
Barb
is
is
jail.
Constantly winning the I don't give a fuck war. And then this is when we keep cutting back and forth. We cut back to the sorority house again. And Miss Mac, there's a front door and then there's like a little door beyond that. It's like on an entryway. Mm-hmm. And the door leading out from the entryway is jammed. She can't get it to open. This is us establishing that door has issues, I guess. For later, it's kind of foreshadowing. Yeah. And Jess lets her in. And Ms. Mac says she needs to call the maintenance man from down the street. And she goes, must have called that son of a bitch 100 times about it. But we full well know she never called that guy before. I don't think Miss Mac is the best house mother, but she is the best house mother. She's my favorite. Yeah, she's
may not be the best, but she's the favorite.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all that matters.
In our hearts, she is the best.
Who are the kids going to remember?
They're going to remember Mrs. Mac.
Remember how cool Mrs. Mac was?
Miss Mary Mac.
Love her.
If you're nasty.
And I'm filthy.
And I'm filthy from Miss Mac. And then back at the police station, that like douchebag cop guy that's working the front asks Barb for the number of the sorority house, and she goes, fellatio. And he's like, excuse me? And she's like, oh yeah, fellatio, it's a new exchange. F-E. And he believes her. He just like is like, okay, and he writes it down. Then we cut to this movie has to remind us that we are in Canada because we're at a hockey practice. And this is the scene where we get our character who has the most Canadian accent in this whole movie. And it's Claire's boyfriend.
Chris.
Yeah, Chris. He's playing hockey and Jess shows up to tell him about Claire going missing, which obviously concerns him. And he's like, well, did you guys go to the police? And she's like, yeah, but they're not taking it seriously. And he gets mad. So then we cut to Peter, Jess's boyfriend, the piano guy. We watch his piano recital unfold. Mm. And at first you're like, I don't know if this piece is just like really dissonant or like, why does it sound like that? I think he's just so like mad about the whole situation with Jess that he is not playing well, and he kind of like fumbles it, and it sounds horrible. And
that's what I thought. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, and all the judges they don't look impressed one bit. And so yeah, I think he just flopped at this recital because he's just so in his head about like how dare Jess consider getting an abortion.
Yeah.
And then we're at the police station again. This is when we meet a new character. It's this mother. She's a very sad, concerned woman looking for her 13-year-old daughter.
And I was very interested in this story.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, I'm interested in this story.
Yeah, she says that
we'll get some answers on this story.
Yeah.
I was like, they better finish that storyline.
She says that her 13-year-old daughter was like maybe walking home from school or something, or supposed to be home and never showed up. But she gets interrupted because hockey guy Chris in his like fur coat charges in all tough.
I kind of want a fur coat like that. It was cute. I was like, wow.
Oh, it was cute, yeah.
70s, they had a lot of fur coats.
Yeah, that's another thing. I love the fashion in this movie because it's 70s.
Yeah. Some cute clothes. I mean, I don't condone actual fur.
Of course, yeah.
I want like a
faux fur version like of that. His coat, yeah.
I might make it.
And this is when he goes, I want to know why anyone's not doing anything about this. And they ask her, who are you? Like, how do you know Claire? And he goes, I've been taking a route.
What are you talking about? I've been taking your route.
Why? Why do Canadians...
Oh, sorry about that.
Why do Canadians... Like, it reminded me of, like, Degrassi.
Whatever it takes.
Why do Canadians do that? Where it's like...
There was an episode of Degrassi where, no shit, one of the girls, like, they're like, the teacher's like, it's Mr. Armstrong. He's like, hey, I need you to throw that out. And she goes, it's Terry. It's Terry. And Terry goes, sorry, Mr. Armstrong. I was just a bit through you. And I was like, they did that on purpose.
I swear they do that on
purpose.
Like, why Canadians, like, Canadian accents sound so similar to, like, a Midwestern American accent. It's, like, so normal to me. And then they say a boat. And sorry.
Like, and you're like, what?
It's like a jump scare. I'm like, oh, Canadian jumped out. And yeah. And now that, like, a man has finally showed up to, like, demand something, now the police are going to take him seriously, which is annoying. But that's kind of playing into the theme of the movie. Back at the sorority house, Miss Mac is trying to get Mr. Harrison to eat something, and he has no appetite. Yeah. And he says, I feel like I should be doing something, but I don't know what. Which is sad. Like, I don't want to... That's a position I wouldn't envy of anybody. Being a parent who has no... Like, when their kid is missing, like...
Yeah. Like, horrible feeling.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So this is when Barb starts acting just like a complete shithead.
Bitch.
She is turned. She is turned.
One drink too many. Maybe 2 drinks too many.
She starts talking about turtles, like, fucking or something.
And zebras.
Zebras
in front
fucking.
Of Mr. Harrison.
Right in front of Mr. Harrison's salad.
That he's not hungry for.
He's like, really, Barb? Right in front of my salad?
Right in front of my salad?
I was like, oh, my appetite was... I thought it was gone before. Now it's...
Now it really is.
Like, way to go, Barb. Way to kill the mood.
It's like, oh my god.
And so then...
Even Phil is like, oh my god. Time and place. And you did it at my birthday dinner.
Oh my God. Time and place. And you did it at my birthday dinner.
Like, she tells her, go to bed. Like, Phil is
like, she's like, you're drunk.
Go to bed.
Go to bed. Well, because before that, Barb she kind of shuts down because the room isn't really, like, living for her. And she goes, well, you guys all think that it's my fault, don't you? And we kind of get this, like, insecure side of Barb come out.
Yeah.
She's like, I know what you're all thinking. It's my fault that Claire's missing. Yeah, and Phil's like, go to bed, Wig. Go to bed, Wig.
It's like, girl, what? Why are you making this about you?
Yeah.
Why? Because you said one thing to her one time?
I think Barb has clearly some substance abuse issues going on. She parties too hard, you know? Yeah. We all know that girl. For sure.
Yeah. She has a little too much fun in college.
Yeah, she's having a little too much fun. But so she finally goes, okay, fine. And she goes to bed. And we cut back to the conservatory and we see Peter alone in the room with his piano. And he takes the music stand and he smashes his piano.
He's so mad.
So he's clearly got some, like, anger issues.
I don't think the audition went too well.
So I take it didn't go great. We go back to the sorority house and everyone leaves to go join the police. They're gonna do like a search party in the park. They're looking for both Claire and for the 13-year-old girl that went missing that the mother was like at the police station.
Yes.
Miss Mac is alone in the house. She's packing to go home.
Yeah, she's gonna go visit like her sister.
Her sister, I think. And her taxi's waiting outside for her.
And then she hits him. She hits Claude.
She's like, yeah, she's just boozing up. She hears the cat. And, which again, I think it's the Mona pretending to be the cat. And she goes up to the attic where our killer is waiting for her with a swinging hook. And when she sees Claire's body,
she starts to freak out.
She freaks out, and right as she turns around, he releases the hook.
And it is enough to get her?
It snatches her right up into that attic. Yeah. And, R.I.P. Diva down! Diva down.
Diva down.
This was so sad.
It's like,
Not my favorite character getting hooked, bitch.
So then I was already like, well, I'm done. I'm out.
This is when Stevie taps out.
This is when I was like, I don't even care anymore. Kill them all. I don't give a shit.
You're gonna kill Miss Mary Mack, bitch?
Not in my household. The audacity, bitch.
Yeah, and the cab driver is like, no one's here, so I'm just gonna leave. And then we see from the point of view of the killer again, as he just throws like it's like a child throwing a tantrum and starts like,
it was kind of scary.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I hate this killer. Ugh, he grosses me out. Why is he smashing things?
He was like just freaking out.
Why
He's
is he
always
doing
making
this?
noises and screaming?
Yeah. Why is he like this? I hate him. Ugh.
And we never like learn anything about him. And I feel like even if you like piece together like what he says on the phone,
It still wouldn't make sense.
It doesn't give you any idea about who the fuck this guy is.
Yeah.
It's just a very unsettling vibe.
Mm-hmm. I don't like it. Yeah, and then we cut to our search party that's going on in the park where this 13-year-old girl went missing, and someone, is it maybe Phil, is like discovers, it's all off screen, we don't
never
see it,
anything,
but it is the body of the 13-year-old girl
who is named Janice. R.I.P. Janice. So I did get more on that story, but we never really learned what happened to her.
We don't even know if it was our killer.
Yeah.
But
it was like on the way to the house, he saw her.
I think that's the implication.
Yeah.
But still scary. Again, this movie like it offers zero catharsis.
Zero context.
Yeah.
It does not explain anything. It chooses not to. The directors, there's like literally no sequels to this film. Mm-hmm. There's like an unofficial sequel.
Yeah. And then just those shitty remakes.
But that's it. Like,
we get back to the sorority house again, and Jess gets yet another call from the moaner. Now he's doing a country accent. He's us during the Texas Chainsaw podcast.
Yes.
And he says, "I know what you did, Billy, stupid Billy." And yeah, again.
What did Billy do?
Yeah, again, who the fuck is Billy? Who the fuck is Heather?
He's killed 2, maybe 3 people.
Yeah. And yeah, Jess hangs up again.
That time she did not say, "Hello, hello, hello." I noted that.
Good for her. She learned.
She heard me.
She heard you.
She heard me being like, "Girl, why do you keep screaming in the phone?" Because that's 3 times she did it in the phone. She did it when the very first person called, when it was like Barb's mom or something.
Oh yeah, I think it was. Yeah, Barb's mom.
And she like screamed. She was like, "Pardon? Who?" It's like, girl, calm down. Like, I know there's a party going on, but you don't gotta be the loudest one in the room.
And so Jess decides to call the police at this point and report the like obscene phone calls.
Yeah.
And this is when we see someone behind her come down the stairs.
Yeah.
But it's Peter.
It's just Peter.
It's just fake out. He jump scares her.
What is he doing?
And yeah, he just wants to whine some more about Jess getting the abortion. And it's like, Kim, there's people that are dying. Like, he says he wants to get married to her. He wants them to, like, put all their plans on pause just so they can have this baby. And she puts it very plainly. She's like, I'm not ready to put my whole life and ambitions on the line for your turtleneck wearing ass.
Yeah. Especially, like, just because your dreams have changed doesn't mean mine have to. That's, like, what she says to him.
Yeah.
He's like, I have ambitions. I got shit I gotta do.
But...
And this baby is gonna get in the way.
Exactly. And it's
so I'm getting rid of it.
And it's her body. It's her prerogative.
Yeah.
But Peter does not feel that same way. He smashes his, like, glass all scary and all, like, aggro.
Yeah.
And he calls her a selfish bitch. You selfish bitch. And he says, you're gonna be very sorry. And she's like, get out. You can leave now.
Yeah, what the fuck? He's so weird.
And we're back at the police station, and the cops are laughing at oh my god, his name is Sergeant Nash. I noticed because that's your last name.
Yes.
Sergeant Nash is the like a-hole guy.
Yeah.
And they're laughing because
he thinks the fellatio number is real.
They're like, what the fuck?
They're like, you're so stupid.
They're like, how did you fall for fucking
because
that
he
one?
is. Like, stupid pig.
And this is when the cops... Okay, and then the cops end up going back to the sorority house. And they get there... The timeline's weird because we cut from that scene back to right at the end of Pete and Jess's conversation when she kind of kicks him out. Mm-hmm. And that's not adding up because that means that those cops literally would have had to have teleported
Yes.
to the house in like 2 seconds to get there. The like sheriff notices Peter leaving like in a rage.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, that's sus. But anyway. And they investigate the house. No one thinks to check the attic.
No.
But okay, there's only 2 bodies up there, but
there's
just
literally
don't
like a
check
ladder
it.
leading to the attic. It's not like it's hard to access.
There's literally a ladder that goes up to it.
No,
So
let's
why
check
are
the
they
ladder.
not? Why didn't? Yeah, I don't know. But the cops explained to Jess and to Phil that they're gonna try and trace the phone calls now.
Yeah.
And they explain like, okay, in order to trace the call, you have to stay on the line with this guy for a certain amount of time. And they said, we're going to leave. We need to go back to the station, but we're going to put a patrol guy stationed outside the house in case something happens. And then we see like an exterior exterior shot of the house with the patrolman like in front of it. And then we see like in the distance, like in a tree, Peter is like sitting watching the house like from behind the tree. Like, bitch, what the fuck are you doing? Like, go home. Literally go to bed. Literally go to bed, Wig.
So strange.
What is he doing? Again, hate Peter. We cut back to our killer from his POV again. He climbs down from the attic and he goes into Barb's room.
Oh.
And he's watching over Barb. Jess hears Barb waking up and like gasping, and she goes up to Barb's room, and Barb is having an asthma attack.
Yeah.
And Jess gets her like her inhaler,
calms her down.
kind of gets her feeling better. And this is creepy. Barb says she was having a nightmare that someone was in her room. A stranger was in her room. And she falls back asleep, and Jess goes downstairs because someone's knocking at the door. It's
Christmas carolers.
Yeah, it's the Christmas carols.
We're gonna sing a little song.
Little kids, they're singing "Come All You Faithful," which I thought of "Roman Holiday" by Nicki Minaj.
The Bohemian Rhapsody of our generation, as my close friend Vanity has said.
She did not lie. Literally, like all I can think of when I hear "Come All You Faithful" is I'm all ye faithful. I am Romans on the sky.
Listen, I did not like Pink Friday 2, but I will always be a Barb.
I'm a Barb first and a human being second.
If Nicki Minaj has 0 fans, I must be dead.
Yes, and so while Jess is like watching them, she's at the door, she's distracted by the singing. The killer goes into Barb's room, and he calls her Pretty Agnes. So
Who the
pretty.
fuck is Agnes? Who the hell is this bitch?
Who the hell is this? Who the fuck is Heather?
And he kills her.
He stabs her several times with a glass unicorn figure.
R.I.P. Barb.
Yeah.
No, I'm really done with this movie.
I know. I can't believe they would kill my icon, Miss Barb.
But I was sadder when Mrs. Mac died.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
Barb was getting a little annoying at the end. It was like, girl, what was that whole shit with the zebras and the turtles fucking?
That's true. That was her flop era. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
Barbie flopped.
And then the killer calls Jess again. And this is when we start to realize that there's a pattern. Every time that someone dies or is killed, the killer, like, he goes and calls Jess again. It's like his little calling card, kind of.
Yeah.
And he says something about getting a wart removed, which is what Peter said to Jess earlier in their conversation. He was comparing the abortion you're just getting, like, it's like getting a wart removed, like being condescending.
Yeah.
And the killer says that. And I think at this point, Jess is like, wait, is Peter the killer? And she's like, oh my God. And I think I think that's what it is. I think she's suspecting Peter, because he said that. Then right afterwards, she hangs up, and then right afterwards, Peter actually does call.
Yeah.
And he's like crying and like whining some more about the fucking abortion.
Yeah.
Then Phil goes into Barb's room.
She's like, let me go check on Barb.
Yeah, goes check on
Barb. And
Barb.
this death is like, we don't see it, but she like walks in.
And the door just slams behind her.
Kind of like turns and the door just
slams. Oh, I hated that. That was so unsettling. Usually I don't like when kills happen off screen. But because
this is a good one.
Yeah, because of
like you knew
just
it.
the
Like,
implication.
You knew, you're like, oh, she's done.
Yeah, she's done for. And this is when they finally are able to trace the calls. Oh, but before this, okay, this is the part of the movie that lags for me. Because it's all this like the control room of the guy who is in charge of figuring out where the call is coming from. He's like running back and forth. I don't know what is going on here. This did not make any sense to me, and I guess
that's how it worked back then.
Yeah.
I was like, I trust this,
but I did not need to see this. Yeah,
I didn't need to see it.
This is when it lags for me. That's when
so for me, it's there's too much back and forth between like the police station and other places.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I was like, but then like some of them would be like the exact same conversation. I was like, why wasn't this just one scene?
100%. Yeah.
I agree. The pacing and the cutting of the like scenes is very just like jarring, and I think that's why I kind of like, this wasn't my favorite film.
Fair.
It was not my favorite film. Like, I understand like its impact. I definitely will watch it again. But it's not like, of the ones we've watched so far for this podcast just alone, it's not.
That's totally
it's not
fair.
my favorite.
I recognize that it does have these pacing issues, but I really loved it.
Yeah.
I think that it has a lot to say, and I think that it is, especially for the time, like, just so innovative, and it scares, and how it unsettles you.
No, yeah, I think like everything about it's really well done. I just think movies
except for the editing, the pacing.
The pacing.
Yeah.
It's just, but then that's what I'm just saying. I'm like, there are movies that have been done better. Because again, just watched, I mean, even at the time, we saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think that one did it better.
Fair.
A lot of the, like, of what it did was better.
I think that's a valid point, yeah. But yeah, let's see.
They were in the, like, they traced the call.
They figure out where the call is coming from. And where's the call coming from, Stevie?
Bitch, inside the motherfucking house. Which we already knew. So this is where I have, problem? How did they not hear? Because sometimes on that phone, he is screaming.
That's true, yeah. How do they,
Not hear him, and like, what the fuck? Is someone in the attic?
Must be really thick walls in that sorority house.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. And the sheriff tries to get a hold of the patrol guy.
Yeah.
And we see that his throat has been slashed. Diva down.
Diva down.
Mm-hmm. And the cops call Jess, and they break the news to her that, the killer is coming from inside the house. Oh, and then I also noted that there's a movie called When a Stranger Calls that came out a few years after this movie. Mm-hmm. And everyone credits that movie for the, oh my God, the call is coming from inside the house scare. Yeah, this was the first movie to do it.
Yeah.
I just think that's interesting.
Yeah.
And this is when they tell Jess, like, just leave. Just walk out the front door. Don't question anything. Just go. You need to leave. And she's like, why? And the guy's like, okay.
Just do it, please. Just do it. Like, you gotta trust me. And she's like, well, let me go get Phil and Bart. And he's like, and that's when he's like, starts yelling at her. Like,
he's like, the call's coming from inside the house. He's like, you need to leave. But Jess is a good sorority sister.
little too good. Because my ass
said sayonara.
My ass would have taken that phone,
Sayonara.
hung it up, and been like,
All right.
okay, let's go. I'm out. I would have just walked my fine ass out.
Yeah.
Said nothing.
Then Jess is like, I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to look for Phil and
Well,
Barb.
she,
Make sure they're still
yelling
alive.
for them from the bottom of the
Yeah.
stairs, like, Phil, Barb,
where are you?
like, please answer. She gets starts getting freaked out.
She does. She grabs a poker, a spear or something
From the
fireplace. And she goes upstairs and she discovers her friends' bodies. And she freaks out.
She's
and
like, fell on the ground because she got like so freaked out.
So freaked out. And then she turns around and coming out of the closet door.
Like, it's in the crack of the door. The door's open. And he's on, like, the other side of the door.
And this is where we just see...
And you see his, like...
his eye, his singular one of his eyes peering out at her. And it's so ew!
It's so creepy. And so she, like, kicks the door so that it basically, like, hits him back
Smashes
against the
him.
wall
Yeah.
and smashes him. And she starts running.
Runs downstairs and he grabs her hair.
Yes.
She evades him, but she's unable to get through that front door that we had established earlier. It gets stuck. It's jammed. And again, this whole chase scene, we still don't see the killer.
Yeah, and it's a really good chase scene.
Yeah, he's out of frame, and somehow they like are able to
make it just seem
still
so like
tense.
And just like really scary. It's a really well done and well shot scene.
Yeah, 100%. And she manages to escape. She gets into the basement and she locks him out of the basement.
Yeah.
And he tries to like get in. He kind of like is like wrestling with the door a little bit, but then he kind of gives up and leaves.
Yeah.
And
so she goes and like hides further.
She goes hide in the basement, and then she sees
a fucking shadow in one of the windows.
And who is it?
Motherfucking Peter.
Peter.
Like,
she said, Peter. You're behind all this.
You're behind all this. You're behind all this.
Peter, you're behind all this?
Oh my god.
Literally did. Because
it's the bean.
His name is literally Peter.
And he like kicks in the window, which like, first of all.
Yeah. He's crazy.
And then he comes in and he is kind of creepy.
And again, it's like, oh my god, the abortion.
Why didn't you say... Why? He's like coming at her.
Why didn't you say anything for me? Why didn't you? What are you doing? And
what's going on?
Yeah.
What are you doing? He's
and she is so sketched out by him.
Yeah.
Because again, she hasn't seen like a clear, and the killer's silhouette is very similar to Peter's.
Yeah.
So it could be. I mean, like she doesn't know.
Yeah.
We know it's not Peter, but she doesn't know that.
Yeah.
And he continues to approach her, and she has a knife. She finds a knife in the basement, so she's armed with a knife, and he's getting closer. Then we actually cut away from that whole thing. The police arrive at the house, and they just hear her screaming coming in from inside the house. And they go down to the basement, and they discover that she has stabbed Peter in self-defense. She went ahead and just stabbed him. And she's passed out, like, probably from, like, shock. She just, like, fell unconscious. And they're like, okay, so I guess it was Peter. He was the killer then.
Yep.
And they bring Jess up to her room to rest. And this is when we see Mr. Harrison starts going into shock. Because at this point, and that's Claire's dad, so at this point he's like, I bet Claire's dead. And, like, he just starts, like, not responding. And there's also, like, press outside, and they have to tell the reporters to leave, and they're like, okay, we need to get this guy to the hospital.
Yeah.
And so they all just leave Jess alone in the house. Yeah. And again, they still never check the attic. So instead of a happy ending, we get this really, like, mysterious ending of, like, the camera, like, panning out of Jess's room where she's alone sleeping. And then it pans down the hallway, and we see that there's still, like, a shadow lingering in the attic.
Yeah.
The killer's still there.
And then, before the credits start, the phone
starts
rings. Ringing, and we just get an exterior shot of the house as the phone continues
and you can,
to ring.
And the Claire's body with the bag over her head is still visible from the window of the attic. Yeah. And no one thought to check up there. No. It's crazy. Yeah, and the phone rang, which means he probably took out Jess because the phone rings every time he kills somebody. We can assume our diva, Miss Jess, probably didn't make it out. And there's just the sound of the phone ringing and the wind whistling through the trees. And that's Black Christmas. Again, zero catharsis. It's a very, like, well, damn. It's kind of like Texas Chainsaw. Like, kind of gives you that, like, yeah, like, the movie ended, but really not a happy
I don't think
ending.
I'm going to leave the theater feeling like a brand new person.
Yeah,
No.
it's not one of those.
Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah, but like when you leave the theater and you're all...
Pills and potions.
Yeah, it's always Pills and Potions by Nicki Minaj. Why are we... This has been a Nicki episode.
Because I'm a Barb.
Because you're a Barb.
And I'm in a Pink Friday mood.
And one of the characters was Barb, so I think just it's a Barb episode.
I didn't even realize that.
I think she was a Barb too.
Oh, she would. Well,
if this
she
was,
died before.
She did die,
premiered, but she would have been a Barb.
She would have absolutely been.
It's
there.
me.
I win. You lose.
Oh, so yeah, that was Black Christmas.
Yeah, I think it's really scary. I love
up.
it, especially for this time of year.
Yeah.
I think it's got that really creepy, ambient winter vibe.
I'm sure there's a lot of theories on this film.
But yeah, so anyway, I hope that everyone out there listening enjoy our episode. I hope everyone has a great Christmas, a great holiday, whatever you celebrate.
And it's currently, I believe we are in Hanukkah right now at the time of recording this.
Yeah.
So happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah to those who celebrate.
And just happy holidays in general to everyone out there.
Thank you all so much for listening to Let's Scream this year.
Yeah.
I hope everyone's loving it. I hope that people continue to support the pod. We really appreciate it. Especially when my favorite is people who write in and give us movie suggestions.
Please continue to do that.
Yeah.
I have no idea what we're doing next week.
We don't know yet, but we have a couple ideas.
We'll figure something out.
Y'all have to stay tuned.
Okay.
But until then, we'll go ahead and sign out.
All
right. Thank you so much for joining us today on Let's Scream. We hope you had a fun time with us at the sorority house. I can't remember. Kappa, Pi, Omega, whatever.
Apple beta pie.
Apple beta pie. I ate a pie.
Beta apple pie. I ate a pie.
I ate a pie.
I ate a pie.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us today. I ate a pie.
Please remember to follow the pod, like the pod, and leave a glowing review of the pod, of course.
And you can also send us movie requests for future episodes. You can follow me at Parker_Will_C on Instagram. And you can stream my music. I have a Christmas song, Holiday Blues. Merry Christmas, y'all.
And you can follow me at StevieNash95 on Instagram.
Yeah. Until next time, this has been
Let's
Scream.
Bye.
Bye. Happy holidays, y'all.